forest. It's as if it's all happened before.
نفيل عن الماكس نفيل عن
Huh?
If the world's a simulation, then a deja vu's a glitch in the matrix.
Or a message from the other side.
What is life but our brain's chemical perception? Your eyes see, your brain chemistry reacts. Here we just remove the middleman and we go straight to the chemistry. Call it a homecoming.
It's Jet Fuel Hoax Friday, and we are live. How are you doing this evening, brother?
I'm great. Friday, December 15th. You know, we're almost through the darkest month of the year, right?
Whew. I don't like winter, and one of the factors is the lack of sunlight. So the fact that the days will be getting longer soon makes me very happy.
Correct. Yes. In January and February, it starts to get more and more light.
Yeah, totally. So we did Jet Fuel Hoax. It was on a Saturday last time, but the response seemed pretty good to it. We had more views than we normally get, so it seemed like people liked us bringing up the Jet Fuel Hoax again. And so here's a part two. There is so much information you could do on this topic. We could just make this all we do, is just every single week, jet fuel hoax, and then people get bored of it and not be interested in it anymore. So we'll do it as long as there appears to be interest for it. We had only a couple negative comments, and we're going to be going over those negative comments tonight. The characters that brought them out, the stuff that they're saying. And so tell me, brother, Jet Fuel Hoax Part 2, what about this is is important to you? What part of it do you like the best? What do you find the most interesting? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, having a background in tool and die and other types of things, I'm always interested, as well as a passion for drag racing. I'm always interested in, power and how it can be created in this reality. So for me, having the endless, limitless capabilities of having the most amount of power to create energy for everybody in such an abundant way is always really sparked my curiosity. And there's no wonder that it's such a heavily guarded topic, why they have shows like Bob Lazar and these new characters that are showing up on the scene to, try to throw tomatoes at us. I also just enjoy just learning new things and looking at the technology at the planes we've created and the way they work and the mechanics of the engines and helicopters and all these types of things, I do find fascinating. So as we move forward through time and the evolution of our, the human character and the soul, we are going to continue to move more and more into comfortable ways of traveling through the air. And who knows, at some point we could have teleportation. But for now, we have to investigate whether there's this amount of fluid sloshing around in wings of airplanes. And we're going to do it with a smile. And, we're not here really to hate on anybody. We're just here to show the information. Jason and I are a couple carpenters that just love truth. And really, at the end of the day, Jet Fuel Hoax to me is about the truth.
Yeah, we've got good physics processors in our heads. You can, because we're carpenters, we're building things all the time. You can say, I want to have a cantilevered deck over here, and I want it to be able to support a hot tub and 200 people all on it partying, like doing the jump around. And, you know, when somebody puts it up on 2x6 joists and they have a cantilever that's more than 1/3 the length of the distance, you know, we know it's going to fail. We know it's not going to hold up. Somebody's going to get hurt. And we know that type of stuff has to be engineered. And then we build it to the specs that the engineers give us. So there's a number of different aspects that we're going to be going through tonight. You know, as we saw in the intro, the big fireball explosion. This is the last time we did a jet fuel hoax, like 6 years ago. That was everybody's retort. Well, what about the fireballs? What about the fireballs? So, you know, possibly you're in your own head just thinking, well, what about these fireballs I've seen? It's the number one thing that comes out of shills' mouths every time. What about the fireballs? So we're going to be going through that. A lot of that has to do with the properties of jet fuel. The properties of jet fuel debunk the fact that this is the main source of fuel that's keeping these planes in the air. Then we've got issues as far as weight and cantilevers are concerned. We've got issues as far as the wing design, the thicknesses, as far as the volume of space that would be inside these wings. There's a whole bunch of things. We had talked about the Concorde last week, but never really didn't get the chance to get into the Concorde. We're going to spend more time in the Concorde. And yeah, I enjoy the topic. It's fun. It's fun. I like it.
Yeah, all these different things, you know. How does a cantilever work? Everybody gets to, you know, understand basic things as we learn together. And that's what it's mostly about here. We just want to learn. And we're not biased. Whatever the truth is, the truth is. It's not subject to my opinion or desires. It simply will be what it is, and we're just hoping to find it and share it with you guys. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Leave a comment below what you think about the jet fuel hoax. Do you, on the other side of the screen, think that it's an important topic that should be covered? You know, what are your thoughts? We always want to hear from other people and as much as possible for other people to get engaged and share their thoughts too, because that's how we all learn together, right? So that's it.
Oh, cool. Is anything else, or should we get into it, brother?
Let's go.
Do you want to see my baby hurt? Do you want to break my bloody heart? Let's just focus on desirous. Let's just focus on desirous. Let my teeth that rusted from the rain. Anyway, you have to under pain. Let's just focus on desirous. Let's just focus on desirous. Do you want to see my baby hurt? Do you want to break my body heart? Do you want to kill my baby heart? Do you want to know over and over again? Gasoline plans inside. I'm killing out to you. I'm killing out to you. Yeah.
And we are back.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the comments section here. Before we get started, I want to address a comment from last week. And towards the end, we'll be covering some comments that came in from one of the guys that are featured hugging Mark Sargent. The guy...
The guy from the thumbnail, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so this is a tree dude, and he's got the as above, so below.
Who was it? Rich from Mr. Thrive and Survives logo, right? He turned it into his logo.
Well, and this is also the deep voice guy on Melodome. What's his?
Austin?
No, the Vatican
Man X.
Flatman X. Yeah, he's also a Kabbalah tree guy. So the comment here was, give credit where it is due. Space Busters were the first, not you. And timestamps are timestamps, okay? But I don't know why people want to come and throw a tomato at us. You weren't the first. Throw a tomato at us with a timestamp on it. Okay. Now you make Jason have to go and look at the accuracy and veracity of the comment. Yeah, so when somebody makes something like a comment like that, I go check it out. And, we had played the Space Busters video last week. And before I get to that, I just want to say, did you read the description box? So if you go back to last Jet Fuel Hoax, it literally started with, we were not the first to cover it. There were one or two Freemason New World Order COINTEL agents that had mentioned it before we heard about it. But they are gone, and we are the only ones left to talk about it. So that was right in the description box, us saying that we weren't the first. We heard about it from COINTEL agents. And so he says Space Busters was first, not us. So I had to check it out. And so this is the video that we were sharing. This is Space Busters 5 years ago. And March 19th. So this is that sort of an introductory Jet Fuel Hoax video.
And then he's got part 2 there in the description box.
Yeah, he's got part 2 that came out later. So this is part 1, released March 19th, 2018. And this is literally the first video on Space Busters.
Oh, March 19th, huh?
March 19th. And so then if you look at the Jet Fuel Hoax video that I put out, that was February 8th.
Well, that's a bit ahead of it, huh? Touche.
Yeah, so the shill that came along and said, you weren't the first. Well, we were before the guy that you said was the first, and we still give credit to there being other shills that were out there before us that were talking about it. So the this topic is just riddled with COINTEL shills. And so this channel, the Space Busters, is also a fake flat earth channel that does like Tartaria and a whole bunch of all-seeing eye type stuff. So there's a common theme that runs through this. We're going to see that another person that commented that we're going to be the guy in the thumbnail. It's the same kind of stuff. They're fake flat earthers, and they're coming out against us, covering the Jet Fuel Hoax, going like, no, that's dumb, right?
Dicks.
Yeah.
You guys know nothing.
That's dumb. There's definitely the fuel in the wings.
Oh, in the belly, too. There's a lot of area there.
And the sun never sets, right? So,
and there's no such thing as a Southern Star Trail.
Exactly. All that crap. So let's go ahead and spend a little bit of time on the Concorde here, because this really is an engineering marvel.
It sure is.
It is, I'm impressed. I wish I had gotten a chance to fly on it. I got to see it fly. It flew over my house when I lived in Wisconsin because my house was right in the flight pattern of the Oshkosh EAA. And so this came in. But we are covering the fuel aspect of it. So this is right from Wikipedia. And we're going to the general characteristics. We're going to take a look at some of the stats that they have for this. So notice it has a narrow wingspan to this thing. From tip to tip, this thing is only 84 feet wide. And then the fuselage, right? The fuselage width is maximum of 9 foot 5 inches. We'll call it 9.5 feet external. All right. So 10 feet of this 84 feet in width is the fuselage. That's the part where the people are sitting in there. And so you can take roughly 10 feet off of this and say that the wings are a little over 35 feet from fuselage to tip. All right, so I took 10 feet off of the 84 here, and then we've got 74, so half of 70 is 35. So we're at like 37 feet of wing from fuselage out to the tip. And so that's an interesting number because we're going to be looking at some pool sizes in relation to all this. So some astronomical numbers that they say regarding this is empty weight. So this thing, totally empty, no fuel on it, they're saying is 173,000 pounds. And that is heavy. When you expect something like that to fly, not only fly, but be one of the fastest flying vehicles ever, that's a lot of weight. Now, they say that the max takeoff weight is 408,010 pounds. That's just astronomical. And so the fuel capacity is where they're saying that basically half is plane and half is fuel, right? Roughly, rough numbers. And so this right here is the important number, the 31,600 US gallons, because we need to be able to visualize 31,600 US gallons. Now, a couple things I want to point out to people. Most people are probably familiar with water weighing roughly 8 pounds per gallon. And so we want to point out that jet fuel is actually a little bit lighter. And this has to do with density and buoyancy. All right, so 6.8 pounds per gallon is what they say jet fuel weighs. And water weighs roughly 8 pounds. So this is the reason why if you pour diesel and water together, that the water will go to the bottom and the diesel will go to the top, because the diesel has a lower density to it, specific weight. So keeping all that in mind, we're using 6.8 pounds per gallon as opposed to 8. To be fair, we want to be accurate. And so the 31,600 right here, I'm just going to show you that Wikipedia gets things wrong like crazy. So we'll go 31,600 times 6.8. You know, and that's closer to 215,000 pounds of fuel. So they're missing by 4,000 or 5,000 pounds here. All right. So you always got to you have to double check Wikipedia, double check it over and over and over again. And so let's go ahead and put this into perspective a little bit. And we'll come back to that. Where is our pool? All right, so above ground swimming pool volumes by size. I wanted to find something, that would be roughly half of that 31,000. So a 27-foot round pool, 48-inch walls, is 15,054 gallons. All right, if it was the 52-inch wall, then it would be the 17,000. But so we're going to do a 4-foot, 27-foot diameter. I mean, that's big. Like I mentioned before, that's almost the full distance to the edge of the wing. If we go back and look at the diagram here, we figured it was about 37 feet from the edge of the fuselage out to the tip here. So a 27-foot diameter pool is going to sit across like this whole end of the wing right here. And let's take a look. I want to show everybody, if we look at the wing area. So total wing area, it says 3,856 square feet. That is of wing surface area right here.
Mm-hmm.
So now if we do gallons to cubic feet, 31,600. If you convert that to cubic feet, that would be 4,224 cubic feet. And so, you know, cubic foot is 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. So this amount of fuel would cover 4,224 feet 1 foot thick. Right? But if we remember our wing area is 3,856. So if we were to spread the fuel over the whole wing, it would have to be more than a foot thick everywhere. All right, all of this. So I think what we're going to need to do is take a look at this
Hello, and behind me is
wing of the Concorde. So this guy has a nice little tour in the museum where he shows us a bunch of decent angles around here. And let's see, make this look a little better. And we're going to take a look at these wings and see whether or not this whole wing looks like it's a foot thick everywhere.
All right.
Leading edge, but a rather smooth OG curve. And apologies to the engineering students out there if I've mispronounced those words, and feel free to comment
I
below.
mean, wow.
At supersonic speeds.
Doesn't look like it's...
Oh, just wait. We're going to get
I don't
some...
know if those lines look super nice to me. I don't know. Maybe it's... hey, I'm just looking at it.
Yeah, we're going to see some side profiles and
less drag,
different angles.
Adequate lift. But at low speed, such a design...
So remember, our calculation, it would have to be more than a foot thick of fuel across every square foot of this wing. Right? And there is no fuel tanks in the fuselage, the main body of this airplane. They don't say that. It's never even suggested.
Wouldn't generate enough lift. Therefore, it requires a huge amount of power to take off and a dangerously high takeoff and landing speed. So this is where the Ogilvy delta shape comes into play, as it's relatively narrow, but it's able to generate strong vortices on the upper surfaces at a high angle of attack. This reduces the pressure above the wing, thus creating lift. These vortices increased in strength the longer the wing is.
Let's go ahead and get to some of these angles that he shows. So he comes down below, and now you can see the thickness.
Brakes were also needed to be strong, again due to the high
where it comes in at the body.
First airliner to use carbon-based brakes, which not only handled the temperatures better than steel, but were...
He's going to look at the nose for a little bit.
Last temperature it could tolerate was 100.
All right, so now he's going to be walking back. We're going to be able to watch the thickness of this wing as he's walking through here, and then he'll get back here and turn around and look the other direction. But let's just analyze a whole bunch of things right here. This plane's supposed to be able to carry 400,000 pounds, and all of that's coming down onto these two wheels right here, right? The landing, the nose gear here, just these struts. This is supposed to carry 400,000 pounds, and then the landing gear in the back. Now we'll be able to see once he gets back there that when these fold up in there, I mean that it takes all the space in this area, all right, in order for this to fold in.
127 degrees, which limited the top speed to Mach 2.02.
All right, that's actually some fun information. So it was limited in speed due to heating. So when this is flying through the air at Mach 2 point something, there's a friction that happens against the skin of the plane. And so they're using a special, here's the Hydomium RR58 right here. And he's talking about the properties of this. The reason why they had to limit the speed of the plane is because of the heating with their top materials. At that point, it was the metal would start to become too soft and want to melt and start to fall apart, right?
127 degrees, which limited the top speed to Mach 2.02. When the fuselage was heating up, it would expand by as much as 300 millimeters, or up to 12 inches. To cool both the cabin and the hydraulics, they pumped the fuel around as a heat sink similar to the SR-71. So the
pumping the fuel around. We're going to get to the videos.
Fuel is the radiating fluid?
That's what they say. We've got a video to play about that coming up.
Fuel was used like radiator liquid to absorb the heat and then take it to the engines where it became a lot hotter. There were also restrictions on the outside paint, as white was better at reflecting heat. The white paint reduced the skin temperature by 6 to 11 degrees Celsius. In fact, in 1996, Air France briefly painted one of theirs in a blue livery due to a promotional deal with Pepsi. Because of the extra heat, they were advised to
So take a look at this. The hatch is closed right here, but this whole landing gear has to fold up, and it's going to fold up into the fuselage right there. And then all of these arms and struts and stuff have to fit in to the wing. And this entire area, there could not be any fuel tanks in the landing gear area for sure.
Remain at Mach 2 for no more than 20 minutes at a time. Now let's have a look at the engines and the variable air intake. The air intake design was incredibly complex, with front and rear ramps, a dumper door, an auxiliary inlet, and a ramp bleed that went straight to the exhaust nozzle. These were all used automatically to maintain the best air intake depending on the aircraft's.
Yeah, so this is neat. I mean, they're round engines, but they put it into this rectangular design. I think it looks cool. But keep your eye on the thickness of the wing as we work around this.
The different turbo engines, the turbofans, they have the different shape housing systems. This is the higher quality one, right?
Mm-hmm.
When in supersonic cruise, the air would need to slow down to subsonic speed so that the jet engine could use it efficiently. Air travelling at above Mach 3 could be used in a ramjet design similar to the SR-71, but the Concorde had a different design, and it wasn't going up to Mach 3. And in the case of an engine failure at supersonic speed, the drag would be huge and could even cause a catastrophic...
A little boring. Let's get around to these edges. So pay attention to the thickness of the wing.
Too large and will generate excessive drag.
So right at this point, you can see where the engine sort of peeks through the top of the wing and where it's mounted to the bottom of the wing, and it doesn't show through. So by studying the reveal at the top edge of the engine here, you can see really just how thick the wing is right here. We'll get around to wingtip in a little bit.
Turbojets were louder.
Here we go. So pay attention to this. Take a look at all the photos that you can find of this. But what you'll see is out here near the edges, the wing is only about 2 inches thick.
Downward camber on the wings.
Comes to a point.
This was found to create more stability
like a
during
blade's edge.
Wind landings. Now we'll take a step back and take
like
in
a
the incredible
scraper.
shape of the...
Yeah, this outside edge, this is just a skin, and only a couple inches thick here until you get closer near the body, where you do have some, up near the body it might be 1.5 feet thick, 2 foot thick, but these wings are just like skins, really.
Concorde. Not only is it functional, but it is beautiful at the same time. And as you can see, the British Airways livery proudly on display. Unfortunately, Concorde had financial problems from the start, and while many airlines, including Qantas, ordered them,
All right, so then this one, there, he's going to say did not have an APU. So this one required the star cart. He's going to pan around here so you get some more views of these wings
it would
from
have
behind.
been weight, and there was already minimal room inside. Because Concorde really stuck to the major airports, there would always be a ground power unit, which it could immediately attach to maintain all of its systems once the engines are turned off. Now when we look at it from directly behind, you can see how narrow the fuselage actually is. Obviously it creates less drag, but it explains why the interior was so cramped, as I'll show you shortly. As we walk forward and head inside, it's interesting that radiation actually became a problem in Concorde because of the high cruising altitude at around 60,000 feet.
All right, so high cruising
That's
altitude,
higher.
60,000 feet.
I haven't heard that claim. I've heard 50.
Yep, no. And I've heard 55, but it's up to 60,000 feet. So now he walks up through here, and it's really, really thin wings. And then he's showing off some of the stuff under here. When he walks up, he's going to go get up in the plane. You can start to see the profile of the wing as he's
Part of the
sideways to it.
and also how small the windows are, but it's otherwise a
All right, so there's no way that this wing is consistently 1 foot thick all the way throughout. And with the amount of square feet on the wing, we did the calculation. There would have to be 4,224 square feet in order for the thickness of the fuel to only be 1 foot thick. And because there is less square feet than that, it means that it would have to be thicker than 1 foot thick everywhere. All right, so there's so many different ways to go about debunking this. All right, we don't even have to put our hands on it. We don't have to see it run. We don't have to see him put the fuel in it to be able to see that there are impossibilities here, right?
Yeah, it's just plain that it, the amount of fuel that they're saying is it doesn't fit, right? Straight
Yeah.
up.
So let's talk about these stats a little bit. So they're saying the maximum speed, 1,354 miles per hour. That is impressive. That is called Mach 2.4, and then once again, temperature limited. So if you go faster, the friction, even with their best materials, would start to structurally weaken the plane, and they couldn't go faster than that. So there's a limit to how fast we can go because of the heat and friction. All right, so the service ceiling, 60,000 feet. This right here is another debunk of them using the liquid fuel that they are saying that they are using. Let's go ahead and take a look at, we covered this last week. So cold fuel trends. In the US, jet fuel most commonly used is Jet A. It has a minus 40 Celsius freezing point, and so the neat thing about minus 40 Celsius is it's also the same as minus 40 Fahrenheit. So when we're talking about this temperature right here, there's no confusion because they're the same in both Celsius and Fahrenheit at this point. And so there's a shield that we're going to be covering, and he's saying no, jet fuel can't freeze, right? But it absolutely can freeze. I've got a number of tabs on it. So this right here shows that 30,000, 40,000 feet, the cruising altitude of most jet aircraft, air temperatures range from minus 40 to minus 70 Fahrenheit, and then minus 40 to minus 57 Celsius. Now, this chart right here, there's a lot that we can pull out of this. And so we have sea level in feet in this left-hand column. We have temperature in Fahrenheit. And then we have pressure, and this is pounds per square inch. So this is a huge debunk of the globe. It's a huge debunk of the Freemason New World Order pressurized pizza dome. And the facts is that at sea level, the pounds per square inch of air pressure is 14.7 pounds per square inch. Now, keep in mind that is a lot. Our human bodies are designed in an amazing way because there's 144 square inches in a square foot. So if we go 144 times 14.7, we'll round this off. That means that there is 2,116 pounds of pressure per square foot pressing on everything that has surface area at sea level. That's you, me, that's everything. And this is the thing that we call air. All right, because what happens is as you go higher up, this pressure diminishes. And if you look at this chart here, you'll see that at 30,000 feet, all right, the temperature in Fahrenheit is minus 47.83. So this at 30,000 feet, it is already too cold for Jet A fuel, and it will freeze, because it freezes at minus 40. All right, this is just 30,000 feet. And the pressure, the pounds per square foot, it's already down to 4.37. So we're starting to run out of air, and this is the reason why people that go to hike to the top of Mount Everest, they've got to have air, right? Because there's not enough air. If the plane depressurizes at 30,000 feet, you're going to freeze because it's minus 47 degrees up there, and there's not enough air. If you don't have the mask on, you are going to pass out. You can't breathe at that elevation. And so 30,000 feet isn't even that high of an altitude for a lot of these commercial planes. They'll go to 35,000, 40,000. But here we've got an extra high one. This is right up in the U-2 spy plane range, 60,000 feet. But notice what happens here, that the temperature is decreasing. 30,000, it's minus 47. 35,000, minus 65.6. 40,000, minus 69.7. 45,000, no change. 50,000, no change. 60,000, no change. 70,000, it starts to warm up again. 80,000, a little bit warmer. 90,000, a little bit warmer. 100,000, a little bit warmer. Until you get into the 150,000 foot range, where our temperature is now, getting close to below freezing again. Right? We're talking Fahrenheit here. And then after that, it goes off the chart, super cold. But look at our pressure. When you get up to 200,000 and 250,000 feet, there is zero air, no pressure. And this is the reason why all of the high altitude balloons, they fill them up. And once they get up to this altitude here, there is no pressure pushing back against that expanding helium that they have in the balloon. And so the materials will fail and they'll bust. So there's no air up at these altitudes, and it's super cold. So cold that jet fuel will freeze. Let's take a look at jet fuel here. And so we're looking at Wikipedia. They've got Jet A1 and Jet A. So here in the United States, they say that they typically use Jet A, which has the minus 40 Celsius, minus 40 Fahrenheit freezing point. This is where that fuel freezes. And Jet A has got a little bit lower freezing point. So it can go to minus 47 Celsius, minus 53 Fahrenheit. But keep in mind, minus 47, minus 53. At 35,000 feet, even the Jet A1 is going to freeze, right? Because we're at minus 65.6 in Fahrenheit. Right? So there is a major problem when they're telling you that jet fuel, it's a type of kerosene, right? Freezes, congealed, burnt. It's not pumping through the lines anymore. And so we'll get to some of these guys talking about the vaporization and stuff like that. Let's check out this. Oh, come on. What happened to it?
Did it freeze on you?
Well, no. Somehow I clicked on something that... Now I've got Amazon up, but... I want to show that video. And I don't... Where did it go?
Yeah.
Jet. Let's see. Concorde. Fuel system. And it was a BBC.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that one. I have the link. You got it?
Yeah, I found it again.
Okay.
Somehow I killed it. So this is, BBC is one of those that they throw what's the word? Copyright strikes. But you checked it out, so we're going to give this a shot. And the talk in this about the fuel tanks is absolutely hilarious. I want you all to see this.
Fingertip control of the 4 giant Olympus engines that develop 150,000 pounds of thrust. That's twice the power of the new Cunard liner, the Queen Elizabeth II. But in this aircraft, the fuel isn't simply used to feed the engines. It really has to pay its way. It helps to cool some of the aircraft systems during supersonic flight, just like the water in a car radiator helps keep the engine cool. And it's also used in a delicate system of balancing that I'll tell you about in a moment. This is a mock-up of the Concorde cabin. The aircraft is designed to be flown by 2 pilots and a flight engineer. The engineer sits over here, and in front of him is this apparently bewildering display of instruments which tell him at any given moment exactly what's happening to all the fuel in the aircraft in its 17 different tanks.
So supposedly you got a pilot, co-pilot, and then you've got a third guy that all he does is monitor fuel tanks. That's his job. Just pay attention to where the fuel's going, right?
And in this aircraft, that information is infinitely more important than it's ever been before. This is a model of the 1.25 million pound fuel rig.
The 1 in a million quarter-pound fuel rig. That's heavy. So they made a mock-up. You got the model of it, and he's going to show us how the system works here.
Here for testing the complicated fuel systems. What happens with Concorde when it accelerates from subsonic speeds to Mach 2, 1400 miles an hour, is that the aerodynamic center of lift is moved backwards 5 feet. And this has the effect of making the nose of the aircraft drop down like this. It literally becomes nose heavy.
Nose heavy. So this sounds to me like it's absolutely 100% backwards, because anybody that if you put a big tank of liquid in the back of a pickup truck and then you step on the gas, what's going to happen? all the liquid's going to go sloshing to the back. So then it's going to be back heavy, right?
That's correct. The drag.
Yeah. But he's going to say the absolute opposite here. Watch.
So what they have to do is find some way of re-establishing the balance, so to speak, of moving the center of gravity backwards. So what they've done is to work out a system of pumping fuel from tanks at the front right through to tanks at the back.
So when they're accelerating, when they're speeding up and all the fuel's supposed to go into the back, they've come up with a way to pump it to the back, he's saying.
And readjusting the center of gravity so that the aircraft is in its right position again. When it's decelerating, the same system operates, but in reverse. Fuel is pumped from the back to the tanks at the front, and
so when you're decelerating and all the fluid's going to go flowing towards the front, he's saying that they set up pumps to do that. Because, I guess. So here's their mock-up.
once more the aircraft is in its right position. This rig with all its interconnected fuel tanks is an exact replica of
Where's the fuel tanks?
the modified system that will go into the first Concorde to actually carry fare-paying passengers in about 3 years' time. The tank down here holds 1,000 gallons, and it's a direct feed to one of the...
There's no tank there, right? And this is all like, this is solid iron. This isn't aircraft aluminum.
Get topped up by the tanks around it. At full power for takeoff, this tank could be emptied in 6 minutes.
1,000 gallons in 6 minutes. That's a thirsty machine right there.
The pumps that feed the engine are tucked away underneath here, and there are 35 of them in the aircraft, either feeding direct to the engines or moving the fuel around from tank to tank.
35 of those pumps in the wings. Remember the airplane in the museum that we were checking out?
Inside this box down here, there's a simple ball cock valve, and it's just like the one in a domestic water system.
Toilet, ball cock.
Yeah, toilet ball cock, domestic water system, that is, huh?
Yeah, that's keeps the tank full, right? Everybody knows how that works. So he's got the ball cock valve for the Concorde in his hand right here.
It's there to make sure that at all times this tank is kept up to the right level with fuel. Incidentally, because Concorde's cruising height is 55,000 feet, the tanks all have to be pressurized to make sure that the fuel doesn't evaporate.
Oh, 55,000 has to be pressurized so that it doesn't evaporate. So we just covered how at that elevation, right, 55,000 feet, the temperature is minus 69.70, and the freezing point of either Jet A or Jet A1 is going to be minus 40 Celsius or Fahrenheit, or minus 47 Celsius, minus 53 Fahrenheit. So either way, it's going to freeze.
And another problem, because Concorde consumes fuel at such a tremendous rate, this gadget down here has had to be fitted as well. It's an emergency fuel reservoir. It will keep the engines running for up to 10 seconds in case the aircraft hits an air pocket, drops suddenly when the fuel would tend to rise to the top of the tank away from the pumps. It's just as though you were suddenly dropping in a very fast lift and your stomach hits the roof of your mouth.
So they thought that one through. They got a 10-second if the plane's falling and all the fuel goes to the top of the tank. Got that covered. No, take a look here. This is all angle iron. All this frame is angle iron. This is not a mock-up of an airplane wing whatsoever.
Before the fuel gets to the engines to be burnt, it has to do its job of cooling some of the aircraft's other systems. So over the engines, they've built a series of heat exchangers. There's enough heat extracted by the...
Over the engines. the thickness of the wing over the engines is like 2 inches. But supposedly this is inside the wing.
Exchanges in cooling the cabin air and all the hydraulic mechanisms to centrally heat a street of average-sized family houses. The current series of fuel tests, both in the air and on the computer-controlled rig, are crucial to Concorde's future. Such an enormous amount of fuel has to be carried in relation to the number of passengers, half its weight at takeoff, that any unexpected increase in drag at 1,400 miles an hour cruising speed would mean that more fuel would be needed, and so fewer passengers could be carried. And if that happens, Concorde might then become commercially uneconomic for the airlines to operate.
Oof. It's all about the jet fuel. So here's some more interesting psyops. We could go back and look. The plane that guy was touring at the museum, it had the doors went right through, but here they built a bridge over it, you know, so the guys didn't have to walk through door to door. And what's another big glaring problem with this? Well, there's no windows. Plane's got
There's only one door, right?
Well, not in the one in the museum. The doors are back to back right here.
Okay. And then there's no windows.
No windows.
This is the second Concorde to be built in Britain, but already Britain and France together have spent £500 million on the project, and there's still, on present figures, another £330 million to go. The money is being spent at the rate of £2 million a week, so the £1.25 million cost of the fuel rig seems comparatively small. But it's very easy to be dazzled by these astronomical figures.
I like how they set up this shot and they get everybody sticking their arms in the wing right here, right?
The simple fact is that long before the French Concorde took to the air,
action!
the
Everybody
rig
breach
had
in the
already...
wing! Reach down further!
Yeah. Pull your arm out and act like it's got fuel all over it, right? Because this is supposed to be the fuel tank, everybody, that they're reaching into.
detected faults in the fuel system, and had these gone uncorrected, they would have involved very long and very expensive delays in the flight testing program. So in terms of money saved, the rig has more than paid for itself already, and with several £100 million still to go, I suppose that's quite a comforting thought.
Wow. All right.
To comfort the investors?
Comfort the investors, exactly. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to jet fuel explosion. Right. So this is another aspect to the PSYOP where, you know, because everybody's seen it on TV and everybody's seen some Hollywood movie of, you know, airplanes on fire. And, well, I mean, 9/11, we're supposed to believe that jet fuel is what brought down...
Melted down the beams.
Melted
right?
down the beams.
Well, no, shills like Brian Dawson will tell you that it was the office staplers and paper and the carpet that managed to create the enough temperature, because the jet fuel doesn't burn hot enough to melt steel.
It doesn't. And we could go back to the properties of it, and it does not burn hot enough to melt steel. So, you know, if you scroll through the images for jet fuel explosion, you'll come across something like this. NASA made airliners safer by blowing one up in 1984. So,
gee, well, thank you, NASA. Would they also invent Tang and Velcro? No, I don't think they did.
So when you see NASA in a headline, you know that there's going to be something really wrong. So let's go ahead and check this one out. We've got, all right, NASA and the Federal Aviation Administration is one of the most visually arresting safety tests ever performed. Spoiler alert, the test helped change the way we fly for the better, but not the way its architects envisioned. So in 1980, when Congress approved the program, jetliner fatalities had been rising in the previous decades. Some experts identified a particular issue: passengers often survive the impact of a crash only to die in fires caused by igniting jet fuel. One answer was something called anti-misting kerosene, or AMK, a fuel with an additive designed to prevent it from catching fire if it spilled out during a crash. Well, does everybody remember the video that we played last week?
Yeah, it has to be aspirated anyways.
Hello, welcome.
Yeah, so we showed this guy, he's throwing matches at it. He
No
even
special jet fuel needed.
yeah, that's the whole psyop. So he even puts a torch to it.
Not burning, flames right in there. Okay.
Right, so this is saying that the whole test was a anti-misting kerosene, or AMK, an additive designed to prevent it from catching fire if it spilled out during a crash. So, one of the other things that we found out that day was the additive, the AMK itself. Once you ignited the fuel, it made the fuel much harder to put out. The entire vehicle was left to burn on its own. So their additive to keep it from catching on fire made it not be able to be put out. And
So it did the opposite.
Yep.
Reciprocal.
Mm-hmm. And so we had the VIPs on hand, including Secretary of Transportation Elizabeth Dole, who told reporters the day before that we expect to make history. They hopped on private planes and skedaddled rather than talk to the press. It could have been worse. One of the things that we did not realize at the time and was added as a last-minute afterthought, we did not have a way to bring the thing down if it started heading off towards LA or San Francisco, Bauer said. So we asked the Air Force to roll out some fighters with live armament aboard, and their job was to intercept and shoot it down before it got away anywhere, right? Because, you know, if you're going to do a crash test for an airplane, they're saying that this guy right here was flying the airplane, right? But they had never remotely flown an airplane. And so they had the Air Force there ready to shoot it down just in case it didn't work.
Yeah. It's got to have some safety in play.
But thankfully, the remote control system developed for this experiment. The first time a 4-engine jetliner had been controlled from the ground worked largely as planned, despite the difficulty of using the technology of the time to control an airplane at a distance. So, I mean, the guy had to look at like a black and white TV, and, you know, he probably had a huge delay, and, you know, that can't be easy, right? So, let's see. They had the crash test dummies. Let's go ahead here and check out this whole thing, the controlled impact demonstration. This was the video that NASA came up with here. So here was the remote controlled plane. There was the dummies sloshing around. The plane's wobbling coming in. It's on an engine there. And then hits this wall. And boom. Instantly, this is just nothing but fireball. Huge fireball. But, like we were showing you earlier, jet fuel, unless if it's aspirated and misted, it doesn't burn. You can put a torch to it. It's so safe. It's the reason why it's used in heavy equipment and all that kind of stuff, because you don't have to worry about open flames around it. It won't catch fire. But just like a Hollywood movie, we've got nothing but fire. And then we've got fire on the inside of the airplane already. Bodies are slumping around. Those flames inside so quickly. the flames are coming right off of the top of the this tail fin right here. Flames shooting right out of it, so all the metal on this plane is burning because they put that anti-misting stuff in it, right? Good thing they learned not to do that.
Yeah, that really helped out, that data.
Yeah, so this is when you see stuff like this as being the proof that planes carry fuel, that NASA did this, and it's all remote control, and they had the Air Force there ready to shoot it down in case they lost control of it. PSYOP. It's kerosene. You can put a torch to it, and it doesn't light on fire. Just watch.
So why is that? Well, I see a flame on there, but you can probably hear it. There we go. That's kind of cool. There's thermals in there, but it's not burning. Not burning. Flames right in there. Okay.
All right. So when you see the fireball explosions, you go back here and look at all these different fireball explosions. If they burn for any extended period of time, all right, it's the only way this fuel burns is you have to be misting it. You have to be spraying it as a fine mist in order for it to burn. Stuff like this where you see a supposed plane crash and then it's just, even like this is not dangerous here, everybody. You got this huge fire around a big truck of diesel fuel, right, like this. If this were to burst, that fuel would run out here and it would put out the fire, right, as a liquid. So we covered the explosion aspect of it. Now we've been showing the engines. So these are turbine engines, and there's channels that they're just all about the turbines, right? So we'll go into a little bit of detail as to how these turbine engines are said to be running. We'll maybe throw a little bit of speculation on what we think is taking place. But what you need to do is see what takes place when they start these things. So there's a couple more turbine startups here that I'd like to show people.
Some of those you've seen before. And we've got another engine over there, the APU for the Concorde engine. So there we go. We're going to get everything ready and we're going to fire them all up.
It'll be a bit of a chattering noise, but hopefully it'll go.
I'm just going to say, this does not look like a fuel tank to me. If anything, this looks like a radiator setup here. But it doesn't even appear to be connected to this turbine that he's starting. So this is interesting. We've got RPMs, and it says percent. So this is a wind up to 100%. And listen to, there's telltale sounds to be paying attention to. So it hits that point, and then it just stays at that point. That's it. This thing is up and running, and there's a good chance that it would run just nonstop until a mechanical failure. So you've seen the guy that flies around on the board or whatever little platform. I think his platform is using turbines like this, just on a smaller scale, and more compact. But these are the types of turbines that we're actually seeing on some of these little helicopters. They'll have a turbine engine like this. So here's one. We'll take a look at another version of it. So these guys are just having fun with their turbines. And of course, they have to sit it up on a jerry can. They've got like a little fish aquarium over here. And they've got the fire extinguisher. So they want to put off the impression that they're using very, very flammable, dangerous liquid fuel.
And he's like hiding behind the gas can.
Right? That's the safest place. So here you got the jerry can. It's all about selling the fuel action. But let's go ahead and watch how they start this again. Well, actually, I like the one that we played last week. It's got some cool tunes to it. So this is the same startup, same engine, and so this is supposed to be like the only running Concorde engine left in the world. So he uses this right here. This is a turbine. He gets this up and running. Watch your RPMs. Boom, all of a sudden. Boom, so he's got this up and running. What's he do? He's got a big air hose connected here. Now all of a sudden he's sending air over to this Concorde engine, right?
Yep.
And then there's going to be a cut in the video. Cut. So now we're looking to see whether or not there's still air blowing through this hose. So you can actually see now that this hose is starting to sag. It's not under the same pressure anymore. So they can then shut off the other turbine, the one that started it. So this is an air starter, and this engine's up and running now. It goes into that same gets to its 100%, and then it is just up and running. But notice that it's not blowing everybody away behind it. It's not forcing this truck into the concrete wall. It's like an idle stage.
Mm-hmm.
So this hose is now slack here.
You can touch back there. It's supposed to be really hot.
Shut her down. So that thing was up and running, and it's not running off of this jerry can right here. And the other video that had this one here, at the end he does go over and he touches it at the end of it. Let's watch the end of this one here.
Showing that it's cool.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, all you naysayers. This is a super hot combustion jet engine. How is he able to go and touch the back part of it like that?
Yeah, they were saying that these engines, when we were listening to that video, just taxiing out within 6 minutes, they can go through 1,000 pounds of jet fuel just in 6 minutes, right? No, I mean, look at this. And the guy walks over and touches it. So clearly, this was not blowing hot out the back here. All right? I wouldn't touch the back of that if this was combustion that was happening. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how jet engines work, and we'll get some of the shill narrative, and then well, we'll see what they say is going on here first.
And push a jet of air out the back. That force is called thrust, and it moves an airplane through the sky. Let's see how it works. A big fan at the front of the engine pulls air around the engine and sucks air into the core. We'll come back to that outside air in a moment. For now, let's follow the air in the core. It goes into a compressor, something like many household fans joined together. Each fan gets smaller and smaller as the blades squeeze the air into a tighter and tighter space, compressing the air like you would squeeze a balloon, until that squeezed air is mixed with jet fuel, a kind of soup.
So this is what they say is happening, that they're just pouring the kerosene, the Jet A in at this point, igniting it, and that's why they say it's hot exhaust coming out of the back end of the engine. Now, one of the things physics-wise I want to point out to everybody that is, as you compress a gas or a liquid, it will heat. Under compression, it will heat. A compressor will make gas hot until it's released. And then when it's released, it will come out cold. So right here at this stage right here, we do know that because it is compressing, the air is getting hot already. If we just totally ignore these, flame burner things, this air is getting hot because it's being compressed, and then as it's going to be released, it will come out cold. Now,
cool down.
How much fuel is being used, if at all? This is something that we would like to know, but they're definitely not using the quantities that they're saying that they're using.
Yeah, there's zero coming out of the tailpipe of this thing. You don't see any smoke.
Yeah.
It's the most efficient, right? It doesn't waste any of the fuel, whereas your car wastes like 30 or more %, right?
Yeah, the guy just walked right over and touched the back end of the engine as it was slowing down.
Super gasoline. In the combustor, that air and fuel mixture meets a flame and shoots out the back of the engine. The rush of hot air.
Because this is what you see coming out of all the commercial jets, right? You see the... No, you don't. You don't. In fact, when you see them taxiing around in the cold and there's snow all over the place, they don't melt anything.
Air spins a turbine. The turbine is like a windmill that scoops up energy from the heated air and spins the shaft connected to the fan at the front of the engine.
All right, so we have the compressed air here. It gets super compressed. Then it's being released. It's expanding. And then this is set up in a way where it's driving a drive shaft through the center this way that is turning the fan of the blade. So then the fan is it's just a big fan, right? And then the air bypasses a bunch of the engine. Here's your bypass up here and here. Some of the air is being forced in the engine here, which keeps the cycle going. So this is the type of engine that we would call over unity, where the compressed air on this side is then used to, as it's released, to spin this. And as long as they keep the right pressure ratios from side to side, it doesn't spin too fast and blow up, and it doesn't slow down and stop either.
The excess hot air from the combustor blows out the back of the engine, producing thrust. Remember that air rushing outside the engine core? Together, the turbine and fan push a larger mass of air than the core ever can for much more thrust. But that extra air passing around the engine core works more efficiently if it moves more slowly than the hot air rushing out the combustor and the back of the engine. One of the first engine makers, Pratt & Whitney, recently designed a new jet engine that lets the fan push air more slowly than the turbine by putting an amazing gear between them. Pratt & Whitney calls this the Pure Power engine because it uses less fuel and makes more thrust at the same time. Less fuel saves money and cuts back on pollution, which is better for the environment and all living things.
It's eco-friendly, right?
Yeah, it barely uses fuel.
So here's what they say is going on. And
this is Tim. Today we will
so bad.
The fuel system of
So when they talk about a fuel system of a plane, it's like kindergarten level, right? This is the type of diagrams you get. Fuel tanks, gravity fuel feed system, right? This is how they explain the fuel systems in commercial planes.
From the tanks, the fuel flows through a selector valve. This selector valve
left,
can be used
right.
to select which tank should deliver fuel to the engine. Fuel can be taken only from the left tank or only from the right tank. But under normal operations, the fuel is engine aircraft.
So the gravity feed, you have to have a high wing, right? Because then the fuel has to be above the engine, right?
Next, we will look at the pressure feed fuel system. This system is widely used in all multi-engine aircraft. In this system, the fuel is stored in different tanks. These tanks may be located in the wings or in the fuselage. All these tanks are interconnected to allow the transfer of fuel. On the wing tanks, pumps are installed. These pumps are used to increase the fuel pressure before they are sent to the engine for combustion. They also maintain a constant flow of fuel irrespective of the aircraft's attitude. After the pumps, the fuel passes through filters. These filters are used to remove impurities or particles from the fuel. After the filter, before the fuel goes...
This is what they say is going on. Let's see here. Last week we pointed out that they say that they dump fuel, that they just dump fuel, that you could be walking down the sidewalk and some plane going ahead over you. If they've got too much fuel on board and they have to land, they're just gonna squirt it out. Right? It's just gonna come raining down on you. So that's obvious proof that they're carrying fuel, right?
Yeah.
And we showed everybody the stress test.
Mm-hmm.
This will come up.
Fluid in it, right?
Yeah, we'll come up to that comment in a little bit. Why wouldn't they test it with fuel in it, right? Well, they don't, because they don't have fuel tanks in the wing. A way to get a look at this is to take a peek inside these wings when the flaps are open. So take a look here at how much of the wing is dedicated to the flaps. So you've got a lead edge here, and we don't need all that audio. Now look at this. Come on now. These are some huge flaps. This is a 747. But all of this right here will actually tuck up into the wing here. And so the flaps are used to reduce or actually create more drag. So the lead edge here, you can see it's wide open. No fuel tanks in this area. All right, you can see from the skin on the top. And this is just a mechanical area. No fuel tank in that area. Called Krieger flaps. Now look at these flaps in the back here, though. This is incredible. We're going to start retracting those. Watch where it all goes, everybody. Come on, take them up.
You retract into the wings.
Yeah, this is
quite a bit of it.
Yeah, this has all got to go back up into the wing. All right, bring them up. Oh, there they go. Pull it all up and in. So all these mechanicals here, for those huge flaps, have to have a space in the wing. This lead edge, wide open. Show you a couple other views of flaps. You're going to see how little space there is possible in these wings. Got all that sucking in. Pretty fancy, right? Spins the
Yeah, amazing engineering. Great job. Amazing how that all works.
All right. Flaps retracted. Let's get another view of these flaps. This guy right here, he's all about the flaps. He's going to show us around. He's not talking about the jet fuel hoax. He's just showing us flaps right now. So here's another plane, not as big as a 747, but
looking at the bottom side of the left wing on this particular aircraft. This is forward, this is aft. This here is the leading edge slats, which I already did a video on.
This one has a leading edge that extends like this, and then these flaps come out. It's not like the three-tiered like the other one, but watch how far the mechanicals go. And then he's got these, they say that this is the fuel tank right here, but he's got these lids off here. This is where they're doing the work on these flaps.
If you want to learn more about that, today we're going to look at the trailing edge lift device, which is the flaps. Flaps, the wings have their regular airfoil shape, which is streamlined, and it creates lift.
It's going to talk about the purpose of the flaps.
At a certain speed,
Start to...
what makes them tick, what makes them come in and out. And very similar to the slats.
Now this is a neat look right here because...
We are in the main landing gear wheel well. This is the hole in the belly of the airplane.
See that? So, I got a nice clear pause.
Landing gear door.
Yeah, so this is a bay area for the landing gear to come up into. And you can see all around in here, no fuel tanks, right?
And this here is the cavity in the belly of the airplane where this main landing gear tucks into. So this landing gear will swing up and tuck away into that hole.
No fuel tanks in this area.
Into the wing.
Inside of here we have a setup very similar to what drives the leading edge slats. And again, you can look at that video if you want to learn more about that. You have a very similar setup where you have two electric motors that run off of independent power supplies, so that if one system fails, the other one takes over. Both of them are feeding a gearbox connected through drive shafts. This is driving the
So spin that, and that's what...
And this side is driving, this shaft here is driving the left wing flaps. Now, as you can see from here, this is looking outboard on the left side of the left wing, trailing edge of the wing. The flaps are now extended. And they run on these carriages. That carriage...
So all of these mechanics right here all tuck up into this area of the wing right here. And then I want to show everybody what this looks like from this point of view, where you're sitting there, you're landing, you watch the flaps start extending. All right, get your flaps out, and now you'll see. Well, you see it more when it actually lands. We'll get it down here. All right, so when these things open up, you can now see that you're seeing right through to the ground right here. You're seeing right through to the ground right here. So there's two different color metals, and everything that is this like shiny area back, this is all flaps, mechanically speaking. All right, you can see you see how you see right through the wing right here. So all that surface area that these guys are saying that the is full of fuel, ends up becoming just a very small part of the wing that doesn't have these types of mechanicals in it. You can clearly see that there's not a tank there, right? I mean, it's see-through part of the plane. All right, so you really run out of space to have the fuel tanks. If we look back at this, guys, so we're seeing that, like, this seam right here, that's what we were seeing from the top. This is all flaps. Then we have the mechanicals for the leading edge. You've got these couple openings here, and this is not the fuel tank, everybody. It's not. That fuel would be right against the skin of the plane right there. All right, so another way that we've been pointing out that this is a PSYOP is the weight aspect. We were looking at the Concorde, and so here's a chunk of metal being transported. It's supposed to weigh roughly what the Concorde weighs, and then you see what it takes to move that around. And then you've got the Concorde here, which, you know, flies, goes Mach 2, or did. They grounded it. So, as we move on here, we've got talking about the fuel aspect of it. So, a lot of people bring up the Victor Schauberger implosion technology and these spirals.
Yeah, vortex technology, right?
Vortex technology, exactly. So, we know that designs like this are just so much more efficient, but there's more too. Like if you just look at this, if you look at this topic, you've got these guys coming out compressing air to reach net zero, a revolutionary innovation. So he's going to go through and he's going to point out these new designs in so here's a type of compressor. All right, so this is a screw compressor, creating high pressure, and there's this new style that he's showing here that this is rotary, and it's a really smart, great design.
To each other. The vertically rotating element has a blade attached to it that draws in a parcel of air via a large permanently open inlet at the bottom of the chamber. As the blade continues to rotate, air fills up the entire chamber until the blade reaches this point. So that's pretty much exactly what happens as I pull open the handle of my bicycle pump. I've now got a full chamber of air in here. Now here's where we get some clever geometry going on. As the blade reaches the top point, it's able to pass through this very precisely engineered slot in the perpendicular rotating disc. But crucially, because the shape of the blade is such that it's...
So it's a great new design. And so compressed air, what can you do with compressed air? This guy points out that, you know, basically anything. It's power. It's heat, it's air conditioning, and it is power. So all the people that scoff at these commercial airplanes running on compressed air, you know, they say that 10% of the world's power goes to compressing air, right? Because it's such an incredible way of storing energy and using it. But there's so many other things. Scientists make jet fuel from sun, water, and CO2. So we're told that it's jet fuel is so expensive because they have to pump black goo out of the ground. And so then you see that, oh no, we can make it from sunlight, water, and CO2, you know, the bubblies in our sparkling water. So there's just a horde of different ways where they can actually make fuel, store fuel in liquid form if they want to, but it does not appear that they need to. Hydrogen is hydrogen coming to an aircraft near you. so many people have this false expectation that, hydrogen explodes. It does not. It implodes. And that it's dangerous. That you've got to keep it under high pressure and stuff like this. But they're showing now that there's dry fuel storage and for hydrogen, and they're going to be running these things off of like the fuel cells, like they're doing for cars. They'll have electric airplanes running off of stored hydrogen safely, right? If they want to, but obviously they have other techniques that work as well.
You can see
everybody thinks that jet fuel is so not green, right? Because it's coming from black goo. Listen to how they bioenergy. This is how they can make jet fuel now from trash.
Is working on a fuel with a bigger promise.
We produce a fuel product that has zero net impact on carbon emissions.
It starts with trash, about 350,000 tons of it each year. After sorting out things like rocks and metals, the leftover garbage is made into that confetti-like material.
There's paper, there's wrappings, there's plastic shreddings.
It's the feedstock for Fulcrum's fuel.
All of this material, what you're seeing in this warehouse here, will convert into about 100,000 gallons of transportation fuel.
But getting from this to fuel isn't simple.
Creating that feedstock is the first part of the process. The next stage of the process is what you see here. Taking that feedstock with the white conveyors going up to the top of this first gasification tower. Beginning the process of transforming that feedstock into usable gases. It's a 3-stage.
So gases. They're going to convert that trash into usable gases. People understand that the garbage dump, as the garbage is breaking down, it's being converted to gases like methane, things like this that are combustible, burnable. So this is just another process where they're able to use pressure and heat and all these different techniques, and they start converting it into gases. So what is the ultimate thing that you want in fuel? Well, it's sort of like alcohol. Like, so back in the day, people were able to make alcohol just from, grapes, from barley, from potatoes. Like you can take organic materials and turn it into alcohol. This whole idea of pumping black goo is just some crazy nonsense, because like we've known how to make alcohol out of biomass for a long time, and they're showing right here that you can do it with garbage. Turn that into fuel.
Yeah, so you pay them to come take your garbage. They take it, and then they turn it into fuel and sell it back to you and tax you on it all.
Mm-hmm. He'll say here, like,
stage gasification process. What you're looking at here is the first stage.
The process creates carbon monoxide and hydrogen molecules, known as syngas, which is then cleaned and sent through this Fischer-Tropsch system.
But here, those gases are actually converted into a liquid transportation fuel that can be sold to refineries or ultimately...
So they take that hydrogen and they inject it into some liquid of their choice that has the properties that they want. And they can use it for fuel however you want. Design yourself some fuel. Let's see here. I want to point out one thing about these fuel tanks, and that if they're in the wing, all right, so when birds hit planes, like, they smash in the nose, right? When a bird goes into an engine,
after a bird strike. Luckily for
when it goes into an engine, it can ruin an engine. And if it were to hit the wing, like if a plane were to hit a bird flying along, that bird would bust open the fuel in the wing. Has anybody ever seen or heard of a bird hitting a wing and it leaking all of its fuel out?
That's a no for me.
That is a no. All right. So this is, aircraft aluminum. They don't want it to be super heavy. The pilots lived through this, right? It didn't take down the plane, but a bird hitting the nose of this plane, if this was a fuel tank right here, it'd be leaking. All right. It busted the metal open. So it's just all right. It goes right through the metal. If you were to hit a bird with a wing, why wouldn't it just rip the fuel tank wide open? Come on. So then there's this last aspect that we'll go through as far as the fuel in these wings. And I want to talk about cantilevers. So we are in construction, and we know the rules as far as how far you can cantilever a deck using wood framing and stuff like that. So I was trying to find, how big of a cantilever, what's the biggest there is. And so when you get into steel, this is getting into a crazy cantilever system now, where you've got these types of steel girders coming off of a concrete foundation, where the weight of the house is sitting down on this point right here. And this is what's necessary in order to have just a standard deck. Now, just imagine if you told the architect here that you wanted to put a 27-foot, 4-foot deep above ground pool out here and have all your friends come out here and party. All right. That's probably going to take some extra engineering right there, because that's an extra 15,000 pounds. If you do some research for like what the largest cantilever bridge is, and I'm talking about cantilevers because the wings of an airplane, they are they're cantilevered off of the frame of the plane. They stick out without any supports. So this is supposedly the world's longest cantilevered bridge built in China. And it's literally this U shape sticking out over the edge right here. If you look at these other pictures of it. All right. In order to put this just sticking out over the edge like this, let's go back and take a look at the framing for this. So this, let's see. This looks like 4 foot, maybe even 5 foot tall girders. I mean, here's like a 5-6 foot tall person standing on it here. And it looks like this is probably all of 5 feet. So they have this girder, they have these two going around, and then these two going around, and then they have all this truss work here. And obviously this is all going to be covered, and you can't even see how far back this goes, because this isn't even like 1/3, 2/3 here. This is just a little piece, and this is like the largest cantilever thing. They're saying world's longest cantilever bridge built. That's not that big, everybody. It's not that big. And then just imagine you wanted to put some swimming pools out on this. I think your engineers would have a fit if you told them you wanted to put some swimming pools out here.
Yeah, it's going to change everything, right? Wait.
Yeah, and then, so this is called world's longest cantilever bridge. Well, this is a suspension. All right, so this is nothing like an airplane wing. Sure, you can have this long thing out there, but you've got this going up to a tower and cables suspending this and supporting this. This over here is like an actual cantilever where the support has to be all in the framework and back here. So, I mean, if you just look at the, you know, this is supposed to be 15,000 pounds, a 27-foot swimming pool on this wing, 4 feet deep, a 27-foot swimming pool on this wing, 4 foot deep. And, you know, this gets down to maybe like 2 inches thick out here at the tips. And where's the suspension? What's holding it up? All right. How come nobody put some 2x4s underneath the wing to hold that? All right. It's just all coming off of the frame of the body here. That's crazy. That is absolutely nuts to think that is happening. Somebody's never done any construction if you think that is what's taking place.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. You sent me a compressed air car. All right, so there's systems here where as the wheels are turning, they are compressing, and also you can use the air to drive the wheels. So it can be both storing energy and driving off of the energy at the same time. And
the regenerative braking.
And the regenerative braking, exactly. And then there's the heat exchanger thing, because then there's the whole, as you compress the air, it gets hot, and as you release it, it gets cold. And so then they have these heat exchangers that play a part in the whole formula as well. And then, see, there was this guy. So this Ted Sumner, he's in the thumbnail. He's a fake flat earther that you've been going at it with.
Nah, not really.
Not really?
Ego tripping. He's just ego tripping, showing up, trying to act like he's so smart and knows everything about airplanes.
Yeah, so I want to show a couple things from this. So this was on our last hangout. He came in and said that was 2 hours of the finest BS I've ever heard. Obviously, they don't know their aircraft nor understand how they operate. No one discusses the emergencies, disasters, and various procedures in aviation these days. So this guy is a fake flat earther coming in, acting like he's all something in the jet fuel hoax. And he went on to say, before I destroy all your fallacies of evidence, he's got these talking points.
Yeah.
So you claim that aircraft don't use the claimed amounts set from the aircraft manufacturers, right? That is what we claim, absolutely. And we're going to show everybody that that's exactly what you say too. Claiming that due to the super cold temps exceeding the freezing temps of Jet A, Jet A1, the fuel alleged in the aircraft would freeze and render the craft useless. Yeah, we went over that again. The temperatures at those elevations are below the freezing point of Jet A and Jet A1. So gratuitous cherry picking of Agent JZ's. He's just an agent that is there to be the gatekeeper for the jet fuel hoax. Anybody that tries making content about the jet fuel hoax, Agent JZ is going to say, well, that's not true. Sort of like a Wolfie for pilots and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to wonder why is it that he showed up with all of this supposed evidence against what we're saying? You know, we're just these couple of carpenters with barely anybody tuning in. But here this guy is taking all this time trying to like overstand us to, you know, plain-splain.
Yeah, so The estimated thickness of the wings. Well, we pointed out the Concorde, and go look at the Concorde's wing. It's only a couple inches thick at the tip. Stating that all 85,471 gallons of fuel is in the wings of the A380. Well, that is what everybody says. So if you just look it up, all right, fuel tanks of the A380 right here, every single diagram that you see is going to show you only in the pink area, like in this diagram here. So once again, the leading edge has no fuel tanks. We saw that. This back edge here, that's all flaps, right? So the only place it could be is in the pink areas, and there's not a single diagram, reference, schematic that shows any fuel in the belly of an A380. All right, so we do the research, and we state that all 85,471 gallons of the fuel is in the wings of the A380 Concorde, and how the 30,000 gallons can't physically fit. We went into extra detail on that tonight, showing in a cubic foot way that there's literally not enough square feet for all this fuel to be in the wings. Fuel pressures would rip the wings apart during refueling. That is absolutely true if you're talking thousands of pounds of pressure. And let's see. The guy in the 747 wing stating no sign of fuel, complaining about wires and access ports. We've shown that all these fuel tank walkthrough videos, not one drop of fuel in any of the wings. And yeah, we're wondering why the 747 taking off at, this is St. Martin, would have burned all the spectators at the beach. Well, that's because they say that they're burning fuel and that it's a hot flame coming out the back. But we're showing people that is not the case. We watched a guy running one of the Concorde engines. As soon as it stopped, he put his hand right to it. So couldn't have been that hot. All right, so that is the, let's go ahead and check out, that's this guy.
There he is. Good old Ted Summer.
Yeah, fake flat earther. And I guess he fancies himself sort of a jet fuel hoax guy. My impression of the jet fuel hoax he's saying, give him a dislike already. Let's hear what he has to say here.
The airlines, they had their leasing, talk about, let's see, exhaust temperatures. And people wonder about those, well, it's just like how your own exhaust works. It's hot, close up, and dissipates.
Wow, that's smart.
Figure that out. Then we had thrust specific fuel consumption. That's when I was like trying to figure out what the heck, the fuel mileage on these damn things, or whatever the hell. Or they say these things. They say certain levels or whatnot.
How many? The hell?
It's ridiculous. They talk about people walking through the plane wings and everything. Like they're in there, the ribs of the plane, for maintenance, for construction. They got to, have a certain amount of structural integrity on those wings. That's why they did those wing tests. But I do question why the hell, if they're testing these wings for flexibility standards without fuel, is fuel being stored in there? I don't think so. If so, I don't know what the heck. I know there's going to be...
He's going against the fuel.
Fuel hoaxer. Well, I'm confused here, Ted.
Yeah. He's saying the hell and he doesn't know and blah, 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 blah. But then when he talks about the stress test on the wing, he's like, well, they don't do it with fuel in there. So he's got a reason he's going to come up with. This is a funny one.
Hydraulic lines, I know there's got to be for the ailerons, the flaps, all that stuff. They got to have, there's hard lines. But in those tours they show, they always talk about how much. Well, what I'm trying to say here. Now they talk about how much fuel's in these damn things, but there's no sealant, there's no pumps, there's no nothing. So I'm like, how the hell does this freaking work? I'm still not 100% convinced exactly where all this fuel is. It could be in a whole. There's a lot of cabin space in those things, but
so it's not in the wings; it's in the cabin, right? Yeah, it's in the overhead bin.
Wow. It's in a bladder.
Yep. In the bathroom. The bathroom's probably got a bunch of the fuel stored in it. And yeah, the galley, all those areas. He said cabin space loaded with fuel.
More or less, it's not the. So I ended up thinking to myself, like, okay, how much then is being stored in here, or what are they talking about? But we'll get into that here in just a bit. But yeah, it's annoying I'm trying to figure out like how much fuel, where is this fuel, and to have all these these weights and measures and balances going on at the same time is kind of astounding. It's quite a bit to take in, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking on a nerd level. But anyway.
So this is the guy that came out and what did he say about us?
Called us dicks and cherry pickers and, just two idiots that have never done any research. How could we ever figure anything out? And, how idiotic it is that we, trying to act like we're somehow breaking down that there's no fuel in the wings and he's got proof. That's basically the attitude that I got.
Yeah, well, he didn't impress me with his breakdown of the jet fuel hoax there. This is that guy. So we've had the guy that said that Space Busters was first on this before us. That was wrong, and we had this guy come along and say that we're just a couple of dopes that don't know anything. And then we heard what he had to say, and it really didn't sound much better. It might have been a little worse. So I just want to point out, we're at about 2 hours here, that it's not limited to the airplanes, everybody. You can see this all across the board, that these types of vehicles, you're not gonna find the gas tank in it. So it's got a turbine engine, and this guy's going all around it. Now, in some of these helicopters, let's say like a medical one, you'll be able to see the back doors open. You'll be able to see all the cabin space. You'll be able to see that the floor is basically right to the floor. They're maximizing all their interior space. This guy's going to show you around this. This is a nice.
Not your average size helicopter. You can see how long it is. The helicopter is turbine powered. There's a Rolls-Royce engine in there, 300 horsepower. You just go around here.
So no fuel out there.
Now, in terms of the performance, you can climb over 1,000 feet or about 1,000 feet a minute, and you're cruising north of 120 miles per hour. This is with max load, okay? You pack this thing up with people in there and you can still cruise at 120 miles per hour. Now, speaking of that engine, here goes your Rolls-Royce engine in here.
All right, so there's no fuel tank in this part of this helicopter.
See, the model is RR300, 300 horsepower.
Okay.
Okay. Little beast in there. Alright, turbine usually means costly in terms of the price of the engine, but you also know that turbines are very, very reliable compared to piston engines. Okay, let me get a shot of the rotor blades. Okay, this is a two-bladed rotor system. This thing is huge. Okay, and right here you've got some baggage room.
Baggage room. So just go back a click here.
Okay, and
notice that we're going from the engine panel which we looked inside there. That was all open. Now we're going to be looking inside this compartment, and we're going to see that this is actually open to the left.
Right here, you've got some baggage room. It says on the...
This compartment is open to the left. So you got the engine on the other side of this. This is all storage here.
That you can fit up to 300 pounds of stuff in here. It's a lot. Hell, you can fit people in here. Okay. Now, according to the stat sheet, with full fuel, this helicopter will carry 927 pounds of people. All right, so it is a true utility helicopter. You can pack it up and go places. And getting in and out, obviously.
And you can see from this point on, there's obviously no fuel tanks here. All right, so it goes right down to the floor, right up to the ceiling, all the way around. Very nice finish out. But you're going to see, everybody, that turbine helicopters, they don't have a place for a fuel tank either.
And if they do, it's this tiny little compartment, you know, in the very back that you could like get half a jerry can of gas in it.
Right. Totally. So the topic can just keep going on and on and on, brother, but that might be it for tonight.
Yeah, you know, and everybody tuning in, let us know what you think. Let us know what you see. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, so I mean, look at some of these helicopters here. So this is something called the Sky Crane. So it says that it can lift like 30,000 pounds or 50,000 pounds or something. So this framework has to actually be strong enough so that you can attach something like that. So this has got to be some solid structure here. And where else could the fuel tank on this thing possibly be? I mean, what do they do? Store it in the tires? I don't know. But
yeah, behind the seat or
exactly.
But another great stellar presentation for everybody to behold. We're just looking for the truth. That's it. A couple carpenters. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you obviously to the moderator, How Hot Daughter always. Yeah, great job, Jason. I really enjoyed that. I hope everybody got to learn a little bit more. And we'll see where we head to next.
Absolutely. Where's the only place people are going to hear this content, brother?
Only on the Ahawashai News Networks.
I laid there on the ground, felt like floating in space. Dust filled up my lungs, not a thing can replace. I made this choice to be wild and free. All I've known life to be is captivity. I wanna feel something good. I wanna
The orange glow. I am not alone. I feel better with myself. I burned the pictures of hell. Took myself on